Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yo, yeah, what's up? How's it
Not much,
going?
man. Thanks for waiting. Sorry, the meeting I was in kind of went over a little bit, but I'm trying to send over the slippies right now.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I told my chat that I would give you 2 more minutes, and then you instantly messaged me. So I was like, alright.
Yeah, it looks like I was right on time. Have the slippies come through? It doesn't look like it. Okay, let me try something.
You should just be able to drag them into Discord.
Okay,
Okay.
looks like they went through.
Yeah, I got them. Okay, so what is the issue, or what are you thinking about?
Um, so I guess these are some VODs of me versus Marth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. Like my current kind of understanding of where I struggle in this matchup is that it seems like my default like level 1 game plan is to try to space at like a good mid to far range versus Marth and then try to laser relatively low so that I can jump over him potentially power shielding. And then from there I try to shoot another laser hopefully in place to get a kind of gauge on what he likes to do after he power shields the laser. Like if he wants to power shield full hop, if he wants to power shield and then wave dash and then dash dance, or if he wants to power shield and then wave dash forward and try to attack. Like I can kind of safely be ready for all of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I like play the Marth more, I'll kind of be able to like lock in on what their specific options are after they power shield.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my biggest issue is sometimes it's hard for me to like execute the laser at the proper spacing on reaction to where the Marth is relative to me. And then even when I do jump over the power shielded laser, I am not always hyper aware of where I'm landing the laser relative to the Marth, so I might get a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
I
like I
feel
might
that.
miss an opportunity because like maybe they power shield and then they wave dash forward and then they like eat the laser like at point blank, but I don't recognize that they did that in the
Mm-hmm.
moment, so I kind of miss my opportunity. And so it kind of ends up creating this feeling that I have where it's like I feel like the matchup feels extraordinarily difficult to play correctly because it's so easy to like miss little details and not like see things happen in real time, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels like the Marth just kind of has to sit around and wait for a power shield into something, um otherwise, or just like, yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, but there's like a lot of factors that are tricky for me to deal with, and I don't know. That's kind of like my preliminary thoughts on it. These vods are of me versus Kadoran, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I noticed that it was Kadoran. Okay, I think that'll be. Okay, that's some good stuff to go on. I have some thoughts already, but I'm gonna watch the VOD and see what I come up with. I've been working on this matchup a lot lately, so I'm pretty confident I can help you out. I've been
okay, cool.
playing a bunch with all the different Marths and as well as like Zane and stuff. So
Yeah, and I know you've been playing Kadoran too, so that's also why I think it might be helpful.
okay, so you already are. I can already see part of the issue here. And so,
Oh,
okay, so there's one thing that's really important to keep in mind in this matchup all the
sorry,
time. Hmm.
I can't see your screen.
Sorry, I forgot. I didn't realize I hadn't screen shared yet. It's okay. I only went through like 3 seconds of the game, so
Okay, nice.
sorry about that. Okay. So
Yeah, no worries.
okay, so all it is this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and then you're already here. So this is already big mistakes. So this is a kind of so a lot of times I think that this matchup can be really tricky to learn because it's the exact opposite of Falco Fox. And so in Falco Fox, the purpose of your lasers is to cover options that the Fox could be doing that you would not be able to cover defensively otherwise. Would you agree with that? Like the Fox is gonna dash at me, the Fox is gonna short hop at me, they're gonna full hop at me, they're gonna drop on me. The lasers are there exclusively to prevent them from being able to like force their way in on you. So in this matchup, that is literally never the case ever. Your lasers, not a single laser you shoot should ever be shot with the intention of keeping Marth away. Or putting a laser in a spot so that if Marth deals with the laser, he won't be able to approach you. That is like the complete wrong way to think about the matchup every time. And so just completely get that out of your head. You never need to try to keep Marth away from you. Ever. No matter how scary the situation is, you never need to keep Marth away from you. And so and so there's more to explain, but definitely the other important thing is the most important piece of this matchup outside of that is center stage. You always want to be in center, and you can freely take center or somewhat freely take center as Falco, and you want to be fighting Marth, who is more in the corner than you. And so, like, you start out this situation, and so this is fine. You're both fighting for the center, as it should be, and he does this fair, and you get this dare. This is totally good. And then immediately right here, this is where it goes wrong, because from this position, you're worried about what Marth will try to hit you with. And you should never be thinking about that. You should always be thinking, how is Marth going to protect himself from me hitting him? So, like, if you're in this spot and you're worried about, like, let's say this forward B. Let's just say you read the forward B, okay? Because he could have done, like, an up tilt. He could have done a bunch of things. It doesn't matter. They're all kind of the same move in a lot of ways. So you hit him here, and you recognize that he's frame positive, but it's really not by that much. And it's not like he can grab you necessarily or anything. So it's like, I think he's actionable, like... Actually, you're, like, pretty much even on frames. So, like, it's basically, like, this situation. If this situation comes up in the game, your goal should never be to get away from Marth. Your goal in this position is, like, you, as the Marth, you are thinking, kind of like the Falco versus Fox game. The Marth is the Falco, and you are the Fox, where the Marth is trying to use moves to prevent you from unreactably crushing him with attacks. So this side B is not like, well, Falco downed me, so I'm going to go catch him. And therefore, as the Falco, you're like, oh, I'm going to run away. This side B is because he thinks you're going to rush in with another aerial. And so, in this position, you're not in a bad spot here. You don't need to get away. In fact, getting away won't really help you. What your options here are basically, do you go in immediately, or do you do a little dash back and then go in? And those are kind of like your two options there that are really like significant. You can do some other mix-ups if he starts hard reading that, where like you can do like, you can go to this position and laser once and then dash back, dash in, or do the straight dash in. So it's kind of like a timing mix-up. You have like instant approach, you have slightly delayed approach, and you have laser to pin him down. So it's like how I said that laser is not to defend yourself from Marth in this matchup. Laser is to pin Marth in position so that you can guarantee your either approach or slightly delayed approach options. So when you're in a position like this, you don't ever want to like go to the corner and shoot this laser. And the thing is, this laser is a good idea versus Fox, because you're like, I hit him with this dare, and now he's definitely going to chase me with his freaking, like, short hop nair or running shine or drill or something. So I do this laser away so that when Fox runs across the stage to hit me, the laser will stop him. And this is good practice against Fox, but against Marth, as you can see, he had no intention of chasing you. That doesn't even make sense as Marth. He put out a side B to prevent you from instantly attacking. And if you had done a slight delayed attack or a re-laser here, it would have put you in a good position versus this option. The only option out of those three that this beat is the instant approach, and even then it's a side B, so you're at 0, you can probably like roll out or something when you get hit by it. Does this all make sense?
Right. Yeah, I think so. This is like, it's kind of tangentially related to what we were talking about in a previous lesson, where you were telling me that versus Fox, sometimes in like those kinds of scrambles, I shouldn't always be trying to like dash back or get away. Like sometimes I'd be willing to do like the slightly riskier but like still pretty hard to punish option, like short hop dare with like ambiguous drift.
Right. No, because okay, yeah. So the Fox matchup does also have like that piece, right? Where like you're both approaching each other and you're both trying to hit each other, but then because of that, neither of you are hitting each other and you're kind of like safe.
Yeah.
That doesn't really super happen in this matchup. Sometimes it does, but most of the time Marth is trying to like, you know, get out of your way and grab you or like stuff your aerial with their aerial. They're not usually like, where's Falco? I'm going to chase him down, you know? And if they are, usually it's kind of easy to just hit him. Because if Marth is coming for you and you're coming for Marth, your moves just win.
Right.
Like, he'll just kind of like fair and you wait a second and then you get like nair into a freaking like 80 damage combo or something. But is like the general stuff I'm saying making sense, or like what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so it makes sense for sure. I think I don't really try to play the mix-up after I get the down air initially, because I just don't really know what I'm like. I guess your description of like how Marth is like fundamentally operating in this matchup helps, because I think the part of the reason I do the dash back laser is for sure because I just don't really know what I'm looking for from Marth, so I'm just trying to play it safe.
Right.
So I don't think that the laser is like inherently bad, but it's also like a waste, because there's definitely like an actual mix up there that I opened for myself. But yeah, like
so
your
the laser
kind of helps me see that.
So I mostly agree with you, but the laser is bad because you gave up a strong position for a weak position.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
Being in the corner is inherently a weak position in this matchup. So you gave up center right here. You're literally directly in center, and you gave this up to be in the corner, and that's just really, it's not, and look, you're already like, look, he power shields one laser, and you're like, like, you know, you start sweating right here after this laser, you know?
Yeah,
and like,
for sure.
And so here's the other thing that I was talking about with like, you don't want to keep him away, is like, when you hit this laser on Marth, and he gets hit by it, not the power shield one, but the one where he gets hit. This one.
Yeah.
This is, instead of, like, so when you hit him with that laser, what happens is that he's stuck in place. He's forced to be in the position where the laser hit him. And so what that does is it makes it so that, like, you know, Marth can't, like, Fox Nair or Fox Dare. He can't, like, fly across the stage. So when you lock him in that position, if he wants to, like, let's say if Marth wants to like dash to like here and like nair or something, he could get hit by you approaching after that laser. So he's like risking himself a lot by like taking this space. But when you shoot the second laser in place, you're like, you gave up the fact that you already pinned him. And so it's like, this is a matchup where like repeated lasering like this is not really good. It's only the thing, repeated lasers in place against Marth are okay only when he is in the corner and when you are in center, because then you're holding a strong position versus holding a weak position. Because if you're holding this weak position, you're legitimately basically just giving him a small amount of damage and waiting for him to get close enough that you have to fight out of a bad position.
Right. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Okay.
So it's like you should always be going towards this good position, and Marth is the one who has to kind of deal with that.
Right.
So yeah, so now you're in this bad spot. Okay, yeah, go on.
Yeah, basically just like to make sure I'm getting it. So basically like once like like you said, the primary goal is always just get to center and be willing to fight Marth for center, and like repeated lasers basically only like valuable if I already have a good position.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
there are a lot of positions where like you're in center and Marth is like, let's say you're in center, Marth is slightly off center, and he like dashes in at you. You know, a common reaction might be to, like retreating laser or something like that, or dash away. But those options don't really get you anything. And by dashing in, Martha's taking a fairly large risk with like a fade back dare or like a dare in place type thing. And so it's like Marth doesn't want to get that close to you, right? Like he wants kind of like this nice bubble where like if you dash attack it, or not dash attack, but you like dash aerial at him, that he can kind of slip out of the way, and that like he's kind of at a range where like his sword will beat your moves and stuff like that. So he doesn't want to get too close, and because of that, he doesn't have the power to like push Falco away in neutral. So, like, if you're on the ground and Marth is on the ground and you're both, let's say, dash dancing, he doesn't actually have moves that let him push you away, like, at all. Like, he doesn't have a form in neutral or, like, a combination of moves and movements that cause Falco to need to move back. In fact, it's all the opposite, where all of Falco's moves require Marth to move back. Like, if you just dare randomly, like short hop dare at Marth, his two options to beat that are he could have read the timing with like a nair in place, or he dashes back. Those are pretty much like his options. He can shield or whatever, but he's not in a great spot if he does that. So most of the time, he can either get out of the way or like nair in place. And if you bait out a nair in place by doing like a dash dance, or he does an up tilt, or he does an instant fair, any of these like walling options to avoid him moving backwards, and you just did a little dash dance bait there, then he gets opened up. He gets approaching laser up tilted, he gets laser naired, he gets dash dance down aired, he gets dash dance naired, all kinds of bad things happen to him. And so, when you are just standing there and Marth is just standing there, you should feel as though you are in like a very like, you should feel like you're kind of like a boulder where like Marth cannot push you back. And like literally even against like Zane, if you just kind of like walk at Marth, he doesn't really, like, you can kind of have this, like, moment where you're just kind of walking at him, and you're like, this is really scary, and then the Marth keeps backing up. Because if he moves at you at any point, he's not that good at approaching. Like, you have options that will defeat his approaches. As long as you're not in, like, a horrible position. So, you can very confidently just take center and be like, I'm putting my body in center. And as long as you don't do it, like, really, really predictably, he kind of has to move out of your way. And you kind of get this nice feeling of, like, Marth doesn't want to be close enough to you that you can unreactably down air at him, because he doesn't have a lot of good ways to deal with unreactable down air, like I said, outside of moving away. Or doing a hard read with an early aerial, which is really bad for him. So you can kind of just crunch into his space and stay just outside of like short hop nair range, like in place, and just kind of stay barely outside that range and sort of threaten aerials, like just dash dance aerials. And it's very difficult for him to deal with, and then especially he'll keep moving away, and you can kind of put him in the corner using that. And then once he's in the corner, I'm sure you've noticed Falco like 90-10s Marth, like when Marth is cornered, or like coming off the ledge, like it's horrible. Like Falco obliterates him. So like that is like your good state, and Marth doesn't really have ways to prevent you from getting to that good state without being like really scrappy, and that is a horrible idea for him against Falco, and he will very quickly die from random dare shine stuff or nair shine stuff. So that is sort of a general idea to keep in mind. Being stuck up on these platforms like this is just really, really frustrating, and I haven't really come up with like a perfect solution. The best answer is probably to dash dance on the platform and then try to just read him jumping and then jump to a side plat or jump down to the ground or something. It's really difficult. You can also kind of do falling mix-ups, but he just has like Okay, yeah, like this was pretty good, but definitely don't do this like back air here. Because here's the thing is like Marth is not gonna be in this spot where you can just back air him, but you can just drop laser because he's definitely going to be in the spot where he avoids your back air.
Right.
So
right.
you can
I
like
think my game plan for dealing with Marth when I'm on platforms is like I feel like I kind of get it where like basically my goal if I think Marth is going to be like kind of passive, then I'm going to come down with laser. And if I think that like he's going to be super proactive, then I'm kind of willing to challenge him sometimes with like an aerial coming down, but for the most part I just try to reposition and get to the ground safely.
I think going for this aerial sometimes is not a bad idea. But I guess in this case you're reading him jumping, because that would make sense
Yeah.
with the back air. So it's not too bad. But keep in mind you are risking your stock for the possibility of like a low percent combo.
That's
So
true, yeah. Also, just like really quick,
mm-hmm.
so like, do you think then that like Falco, like it's because like based on how you're describing like how you think about the neutral in the matchup, it sounds like you don't really see much of a place for laser outside of when Marth is in the corner. Does that seem fair?
No, I think laser is really really good because it allows you to
Like, what is a good laser besides the one where like he's in the corner, like in neutral that you could do?
so like let's say Marth is like slightly off center and
Like if you're vying for center, maybe, right? Like, is that what you're thinking?
like okay, so once you're in this close range to Marth, you don't really have a huge reason to laser most of the time. You can in some cases to maybe like block an aerial into a nair or something, but generally the laser is not too useful at that close range. But the laser is both useful when Marth is in the corner, and it's useful at kind of like that middle range in order to get into a close range. So it's kind of like, because I do see what you're saying based on like how I've kind of presented it so far. But laser is kind of like your gap closing tool when Marth is playing really safe, because like you can like move towards Marth, and like I said, he's kind of he has to either like hard read attack you or he has to like move away, right? And
Right.
the laser kind of allows you to have a much higher chance of success against him attacking rather than retreating.
I see. Yeah.
So okay, so this is maybe not the perfect example because he's like in the corner right here, but so like let's see, like right here. So okay, so when Marth is in the corner like this, sort of like, and I've been talking with Zane about this a little bit. There's kind of like a rule right here, whereas like Marth's only way realistically out of the corner is to like dash through you. His other options don't really have like great expected value. Like he can go to the plats and stuff, but you might up air him or shine him and get something big started. So like it's not super good for him. Most of the time he'll do like a dash out of corner mix up, or he will stand in the corner and he'll spam aerials in place. Those are kind of his two options.
Right.
So the way Zane described it is basically Marth wants to dash out of the corner. You want to down air Marth as he's dashing out of the corner. If Marth does not dash out of the corner into your down air, he is most likely going to be sitting in corner spamming aerials, and so once he spams aerials, then you nair into the corner to beat his aerial and you get your big combo or your gimp or whatever. But if he has not started spamming aerials in the corner yet, your primary goal should be either laser to keep him pinned in the corner and get him to throw out something dumb, or the down air as he dashes out of the corner, which would like right here. Like he didn't show that he was spamming aerials in the corner, he was just in the corner, and so your options are kind of keep him stuck here with the laser and try to down air him leaving the corner, and then like kind of threaten approaching in the corner but don't really do it. Eventually he'll start walling aerials, which opens up your actual approach into the corner.
Right. Yeah, so
I'll get more into like a lot other uses of lasers pretty soon, but right now I think that's all I can really give.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think actually just like really quick, the thought that occurred to me while you were explaining it was I think so like kind of why you were saying that laser makes more sense, like that dashback laser makes more sense versus Fox,
Uh huh.
is because Falco is so much worse in the scrap versus Fox than compared to Marth. And you were saying
True.
that
Yeah,
Marth,
that's a good way to think about it.
yeah, yeah. So like maybe you're thinking that like the laser is generally overall less valuable because it's like you can just scrap with Marth and he's so much better at it than he is like versus Fox, for example.
Yeah, like if you're right next to Marth, you Falco just beats him. Like Falco just destroys him. Like if you're right next to
Oh,
him, he doesn't have any hope at all. Like you can just beat him
okay.
up with your move. So
Yeah, okay, that's actually like really valuable because I was not thinking about it like that up until just now. So that makes a
hmm
lot of sense.
yeah, just keep in mind, Marth is always the one who is fragile in this matchup. He feels
Um,
scared. Like he feels like he has to get out of your way and find a sneaky way to hit you in order to win. He can't like crush you or overpower you in any form. It's
right.
he's just always on the back foot.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to I'll keep that in mind. That's good to know.
Yeah, and so there is like a laser dashback pattern in neutral. So it's kind of like so let me so remember how I was saying the laser helps you get into that close range? Because a lot of times what will happen is you'll try to get in close to Marth and he will do like dash up, nair in place, you know? And you don't
Right.
really have a way to deal with that. But what you can do is you can do a laser dashback. And so in this matchup, you almost never want to laser dash in ever. Like
Right.
there's it's just a really bad idea. And so the reason is like so you know how like laser dashback is just a lot better against power shield, right? Do you understand the reasoning for that?
I guess so. Just if I'm understanding it correctly, it's like if you get hit by the power shield after you dash back, you're going to be like much further from the opponent, so they won't be able to like follow
Yeah,
up.
so like during the laser's travel time, both to and back from your opponent, you are in the process of dashing back. So when the laser eventually gets back to you, you will be at a further spacing from Marth than you would have been if you had stayed in place and he power shielded. So a lot of Marth's power shielded things work because you will laser in place and not dash back. Maybe do a laser in place, or something like that. And so what he gets is he gets to power shield and then act on that spacing that you gave him on the laser. But if you laser dash back, he can power shield it. He can power shield your laser all he wants, but you're going to be at a distance where his jump out of power shield does not hit you at all.
Right.
And so it's a combination of two effects. The first is you have the during the travel time you're dashing back, and the second is that when the laser hits you, you will ASDI away from Marth because you are
Yeah.
dashing
Yeah.
away. And
That
so
makes sense.
the combination of those effects creates this feeling from the Marth end where Falco shoots lasers from pretty close, like kind of annoyingly close. And you can't do anything about it because if you power shield it, he is now at that same annoying range where you can't hit him, but he can laser again. And so it creates like a position in neutral where Marth can't really approach Falco at all. And it creates kind of like you create kind of like a stasis where like Marth cannot move forward on you. And if you move forward and he reads it, he'll get you, right? If you move forward and he nairs in place, he gets you. That's all there is to it. But you can kind of go in whenever you want, and the lasers are preventing him from moving forward. Or, the lasers are preventing him from, like, significantly reading you because any chance, like, he might try to read your approach with a nair, but instead, you actually read his nair with another laser, and then you laser naired, and he got caught, and he had no, option for that. Um,
Okay.
so
Yeah. I
yeah,
think that
okay.
makes sense.
So okay, in a few minutes, I want to just go into a game with you, and I want to just show you like the general spacing on like the dash back. But
Okay, sure.
let's keep going over this first. So yeah, this is the thing in the corner. Recognize that Marth wants to dash out. You basically want to do only drill and or down air and laser until Marth starts walling aerials, and then you think about laser or nair.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I know this is something small, and it's just a really bad habit. Don't side B onto stage from ledge against Marth. He's very good. He's very good at shielding and then wave dashing out and covering it. And like, there's
I actually have been trying to tell myself to stop doing that for sure.
You also cannot double laser against Marth from the edge at all. So I would recommend always either double jumping to platform or ledge dash.
Or ledge dash?
Every time, against Marth specifically.
I
have a clip against Zane where he's like way on stage. Like really on stage. Like under the inner edge of this platform on stage. And I double laser from edge, and he does power shield, short hop, fair, dare, and it kills me.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And it's a true combo. So just don't mess with it and don't side B. Just either go for the ledge dash, and he doesn't have a good way to punish double jump to platform here either, really. So so notice that in this spot, you're kind of in this same position where, like, you were kind of at a bad spot here before, but you just sort of throw out this dare, and he's going for like, oh, maybe he'll spot dodge and I'll get my dash back, dash in thing. Oh no, he goes for the dash back, dash in side B, but you're already here and you just kind of win the scrap. Don't jab after this. If you think that you don't have enough time, always just grab here. Grab is very strong against Marth. So like if you're here and you know you don't have enough time for a shine, just grab. Right, like right here.
Yeah, I don't know why I jabbed. It might have been an accident.
Okay. Ooh. So this is really good. I actually really like this. So how does this happen? So you're here, he's shielding, and you dash back out of the range of his instant, short hop, fair, or nair, which is correct. See, you had two options. You either could go in immediately, which he's reading, or you can dash back and go into it. So he reads you immediately going in, but you won the 50-50. But also, it's only a 50-50 for him, because you didn't need to approach at all. You could have lasered like right here and then just done the same thing again, right? But he had to like choose. He had to choose. Is Falco coming in now or in a second? And he's like, now. And so you read that he thinks now, and so you just literally win. Like, you just win. Like once you're in this spot, you just have, like, a massive advantage, and Marth cannot get down. There was no reason to do any of this stuff, though. But, like, this is an issue with the punish game. So this was good. This would have been definitely better here as a full hop double jump back air. Like, full hop here, double jump left, and then back air, Marth here. So that you're like drifting back to the stage and you kind of like maintain your advantaged position. But here you let yourself go further off stage than Marth pretty much with the drift back air. And so now you're in this really awkward spot, whereas if you did like full hop double jump bear, he would be here in the same spot and you'd be on stage just waiting to murder him.
Right.
So then you end up here and you go to ledge, which is definitely not a great idea. You could have just gone here and been under the platform and he would have been in a horrible place. But even after you grab ledge, you could have ledge dashed and then still done like ledge dash bear or something, but you didn't do that. You went for this, and it's kind of like, okay, you get kind of caught in a bad spot, and then you probably die. Okay, you didn't die, but you could have.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this is fine. You roll out of the way of his pressure, right? And so now you're in this spot. And so from this position, what can Marth actually do to you? Like, what moves? Like, think of a move. So he's in his shield, and he wave dashes out of shield. What does he have that is actually a problem?
I mean, the only thing that would be, like, fast would maybe be, like, wave dash down tilt or, like, jab or grab.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting is all of those would lose to you daring in place.
Right.
Like, so he kind of can't really wave dash in approach to you here. not only because you could dare in place, but you could dare anywhere in this entire central range between you. You could just let it rip here. So, like, and he can't nair you, he can't fair you, he can't really do anything from here. So you have, like, this position for you, you need to start seeing this position as, like, big advantage. Like, oh yeah, like right here, the fact that he's still in shield here, this is like, let's go. Like, I am literally winning. Like, this has to register as like a win, because Marth, if he does any aerial here out of his shield, he's kind of messed up. And maybe his only truly really good option here would be like go to plat, like he'll do like full hop waveland fair, which does still open him up to a timing mix up from you, you know. But like, there's no reason for you to be moving back here, because if he approaches and you hold your ground, you win. He can't dash dance bait you. He has to wave dash here. So either you get to hold your ground and he holds his ground and it's still even and you have center. He can't retreat, or he approaches and you hold your ground and you win. So so you moving back here would only be okay if you did immediately dash in down air and did like that thing. So he actually thinks you were going to. That's kind of funny. He actually tries to prepare for that down air because he knows this matchup pretty well. So he actually, when he wave dashes in here, notice that he's not like, oh, I'm going to get him. I love chasing down Falco. He like comes in, but then he's like, all right. Falco is for sure going to beat me up for this. And then, so he does the shield. You don't come in, but then he's like, oh, Falco saw my shield. Maybe he'll come in. I'll do my hard read on his instant approach. And he kind of gets you. And so he read you here, but he didn't necessarily, like, he had to basically read you, like, 3 times to actually get this, you know? And if you had done a laser here, if you had done the dare earlier, any of those options would have put you in a winning position against where he's at.
Right. Yeah, I should think of, like, those nairs in place as, like, pretty big timing callouts for him.
They're really big timing callouts. Like, Falco is not like Fox. Fox can't really punish those. Falco can big time punish those, because if you hit it with a laser, he's getting either dash attacked or naired as like a true combo. And there are a lot of other spots where you can hit the laser, and then you have a mix up on, like, if he's mashing fair. You know, like, people will do the nair and then they mash fair.
Yeah,
but all you can do is, you know, you just do laser the nair, dash back, dash, and dare, and you will get a dare punish on the fair every time. If he does it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, so he's kind of in a bad spot there. Notice how good that ledge dash is. Okay, you kind of just messed up there. That's fine. Okay, so you have center here. Okay, good. You're beating up Marth. Okay, so this was like an instance of like. So this is the fundamental tricky part of the matchup, and you will notice this is why a lot of times when you watch Mango lose to Zane, this is why Mango loses, is because you go, okay, Falco wins the scrap really hard unless he hard reads my timing, right? And so that is really, really difficult to deal with from a Falco perspective, and this is the difficulty of the matchup, is like, well, if I win the scrap so hard, I should probably attack this time. And that this time mentality is too predictable. And so it's like it kind of goes too far back the other end, which is like, you're like, oh, I'm scared of Marth. And it's like, you don't have to be scared of Marth. Falco wins the scrap. And you're like, oh, sick, Falco wins the scrap. So you identify a scrap, and you're like, I'm going to go win that, you know? But Falco only wins the scrap because Marth has to hard read his timing. And so if your timings are predictable, Falco will no longer win the scrap, and he will actually lose every single time if you are too predictable. So that is why you lose this situation, because he drops with this fair, and he can tell based on like the way you're moving is that you're like, as soon as this fair ends, I'm gonna freaking murder him, right? Like this dash back. We've all seen this so many times that this is like that. Oh yeah, gonna get this punish on the fair with the dare. But the key is sometimes you don't take this. Sometimes you laser dash back here, and then if he does a nair, you might be able to confirm a laser into a punish or a laser into him fairing again, and then you get this again and you hit him. So it's like you definitely win unless he knows what you're gonna take, and you don't have to take it pretty much whenever, like ever. So when I play with Zane or whatever, and I'm playing well and I'm doing well, the important part is that like I am winning all the scrambles that I take, but I don't take that many of them, and neutral will last a while. And so against the bad Marths, you can just crush them. But the better they get, the harder they are to crush, and you end up in a lot of spots like this where Marth is like, I'm Farron, and you're like, I'm gonna dash back dare that. And he's like, no you aren't, I'm gonna hard read your timing. And then right here, you just laser dash back instead. And then it happens again, and you laser dash back again. And then it happens again, and you hard read him, and he can't hard read your timing again because it's the third time, and you're messing with him, and you get... Like, he has to just cover all these things. Like, oh, he lasered me? Is he coming in right after the laser? Oh my goodness, that's so scary. He lasered me. Is he waiting a second and then coming right in? Is he lasering again? Meanwhile, you are laser dash backing, and in total safety until it just tickles your fancy to, rush him. So Falco has a massive advantage in the neutral in this matchup for that reason. And it's because you can hold him here and just kind of laser dash back and constantly threaten all kinds of attacks. And the thing is, a lot of times, they will break and they'll be like, oh, he's coming in this time, and they dash back into the corner. And then you're like, I don't need to laser dash back. I lasered and you dash back into the corner, and now you shielded laser right here. Laser, 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 there. Or something like that.
Right.
So as soon as he breaks and freaks out and moves away, then that's when you get your space win. So you're like, I do win the scrap, but I don't need to take the scrap. And so the constant threat of me maybe taking the scrap and also continuing to prolong neutral and getting damage on Marth will eventually cause Marth to think I'm going to approach and move back, at which case I gain space and repeat until he's so stuffed in the corner that I have a mix-up on either him staying in place or coming in.
Right. And, like, if at any point he decides to, like, do that kind of fair and then, like, instantly dash attack, for example, like, that's not really great for him to do that because it's such a big risk, right?
Yeah, so, the thing with the Marth dash attack is, first of all, it doesn't work out of laser dash back, if he power shields or does, like, anything. He has to literally take laser dash back. He has to literally take laser and then, so he has to take laser and then dash attack, basically. And that is like a super duper ultra hard read because he's literally saying like, okay, Falco is going to for sure laser dash back. And it's not just laser dash back. Falco's plan is to laser dash back into another laser dash back. That is the only time that the dash attack will work. And so he is... First of all, it's like he's getting hit by the laser, so therefore you might be lasering him, confirm that he got hit by the laser, or just read it, and then immediately be coming in with an aerial. In which case, he either has to move back, shield, or aerial in place. So he already has to deal with that threat. But then once he takes the laser, he has to dash in on you and then do a dash attack. And after taking the laser and he dashes in, you might have done a dare in place. You might have done a dash back, dash in, fade back dare. You might have dared past him and he dash attacks past you the other way, and then you get an approaching laser, and then now you're back in the same spot but on the other side of the stage or whatever. So
yeah,
Marth's dash attack in this matchup is negligible. And if you feel as though dash attack is becoming a problem, it is because you are trying to use the lasers to keep Marth away.
Right.
Because when Marth is trying to stop you from coming in, and it should always feel like that. Like this whole like not stalemate, but like kind of stasis with the laser where it keeps maintaining neutral and like kind of repeating. This should happen from the Marth's perspective as a result of him correctly defending himself. Like Falco lasers, he pretends to come in, Marth is like, I'll block that coming in with a nair, and it doesn't work because Falco stays at the same range. That is like kind of how it should feel. But if you're playing where you're like, laser, laser, you stay away from me, Marth, then eventually he'll be able to dash in and have a pretty good idea that you're just going to be running away, and then he gets the dash attack. So like for me, I kept getting hit by dash attack until I changed my perspective a week or two ago, that it's literally like the lasers are there for me to get him. And every laser I shoot is like, you stay right there, Marth, I'm coming over. I'm ruining all your stuff with these lasers. I'm on my way, and like, you don't actually have to go for it, but the mentality that you are trying, you're checking if all his windows are locked, That's like,
Right.
you need to be doing, like, that feeling completely changes his ability to, like, use dash attack in any form. Like, it just becomes pretty bad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, like, basically dash attack becomes scary at the same level as random tipper, which is to say, kind of scary, but the expected value is low.
Yeah.
So yeah, he hard read the timing, and then the issue with these lasers is that they're just wrong. But like the idea behind them isn't particularly wrong. They're just done at the wrong spacing. So when he hits you to here, first of all, when Marth is coming in right here, like if Marth hits you and you're not knocked down, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I've got my combos, here I come," that he's just wrong. Like, in this situation, you're about to beat him. Like, if you just instantly just, like, ran at him and dared here, or dared or whatever, he would be in kind of bad shape. So, like, this is already, like, these attacks are already... He's only getting these attacks because you kind of don't have the perspective that you're trying to kill him. Because, like, when Marth... Like, let's pretend, and you can see this when Cody plays against Zane. He's really good at this as Fox. But there's this feeling as Marth where, like... You, like, let's say you hit this nair, and you're like, oh boy, like, I managed to keep the spacey away for 0.003 seconds, and they're about to come at me again. And so you want that feeling from the Marth. You don't want them to be able to be like, oh yeah, you're on the back foot now, huh? Here I come with my big aerials, because this is like a straight up lie. Like, notice that this is like, this whole thing from, like, after this hit, the thing is he should have nair grabbed here, but he didn't. So your dashing back here is fine, but you should immediately be ready to do something, because look at this. This whole thing is a lie. Like, there's no hitbox here. At all.
Yeah.
There's no hitbox. And you're at, like, 11%. It's like, dude... So it's, like, So he kind of just was, like, he threatened the grab, and was slow, and then was like, whatever, I get a jump in aerials. This isn't even that great by him. And the thing is, this laser by you, this is actually the perfect response once he's in this spot. If you were, like... here. So this is just like a misspacing, because this laser is really good if you were just slightly more out of the way. And the same with this one. He just hard reads that you're gonna laser again, but and this is kind of because you're in the corner. But if you just become more comfortable right here, like in this spot, of being like, Marth can't like big reach. He can't big reach. He has kind of this little bubble around him where like his attacks are worthwhile. Then you might be down to just dash dance in the corner for a second, and then maybe full hop to top plat or something. So you could be more comfortable just daring, or just dash dancing here, and then he's going to miss this nair on you in the corner, and you would get like a punish. You would just dash back here. And you'll see Mango do this really well, where he gets those magical dash back into the corners, where he's like here, and then he'll dash back to like here, and then approaching aerial out of the corner. And this is that same type of situation where Marth can't really get all the way in the corner, but he's kind of trying to reach into the corner to hit you. And if you just space really well into the corner and then come out with an aerial, you'll win this almost every time.
Yeah. I think that I've seen that before.
And yet, sure. Don't do this.
Yeah.
The thing is, against Kadoran, you can actually get away with this. So what I do here is you can just do a timing mix-up on the laser where you just double jump late laser. And it'll hit him for this, yeah. But ultimately it doesn't matter because he's doing a suboptimal method anyway.
Right.
So, like, you should just never be...
doing the double laser.
Yeah, you should just never be doing the double laser ledge hop from edge anyway. This dare is, like, not awful, but also if you back air here, he's guaranteed to, like, lose. the game is over, or, like, his stock is over if you back air him here. Because you'll send him far enough that he can't really get, like, a real good mix-up on his recovery.
Yeah, I think so. This is, like, a micro-specific thing, but I'm just used to, like, how on most other stages that would have for sure been a kill. Because, like, even with ASDI, I don't think he would have landed on stage. But because, like, the side platform of Yoshi's reaches out slightly past the edge, he was able
True.
to like barely land on it. So I think it was just like a stage specific thing.
Okay.
Where like if I had like on Yoshi's, probably I should just back air.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and like it kills a lot earlier too. Like notice that this is at like one. This is like at 123 or something, and it freaking just killed
Yeah, yeah.
from like the middle of the stage. So the back air definitely would have been a good idea here. Okay. The thing is I do these dumb side Bs too. Just recognize they're not very good, and eventually I'll have to stop doing them.
I agree.
Okay, so the problem with this is that you're not threatening. So like, basically like, you want to the Marth, you want to look like you have like rabies. like the Marth needs to feel like you're just like I'm freaking crazy. Like, oh yeah, here I come, Marth. You know, like because that is like why Falco wins this matchup is because he's like a psychopath, and like you're like being like a controlled psychopath against Marth is what makes Falco win the matchup. Is that like he just has to be ready for your threats constantly, and they all have good enough expected value that you might be doing any of those threats at like any time pretty much. Like he has to hard read you in order to defeat any of your threats. And so as long as you're not choosing the threat that he is expecting, pretty much all your stuff is scary. So when you're in a spot like this and you hit this laser, I like this dash back because you're thinking he might aerial out of shield here or just short hop aerial. Because you're thinking like, okay, Marth might try to predict me coming in right here. But then you have to kind of keep in mind that like you need to keep the pressure on. Like he needs to be like, oh, Falcon, wasn't that time? Is it this time? How about this time? Is he's already coming again? It's so fast. Like, you know, like the time that he gets between being like, yes, I was right, Falco did not come in, and like, here comes Falco again, needs to be as short as possible, because Marth is a character who relies on his heavy commitments. All of his moves are heavy commitments, you know? He relies on his heavy commitments most of his moves are heavy commitments. He relies on, like, his moves doing their job. And if he does a move that's in a bad spot and you're not there, like, if he up tilts and it wasn't the right spot to up tilt, you just win. Like, you get the easiest win of your life, you know? If he nared and you were ready for him to nair, it's just over for him. And so, like, you just need to keep up this pressure. Whereas you kind of just wait here and you're like, go ahead, do the aerial. And it's like, he doesn't need to do the aerial because you're not pretending to attack him. He only needs to do this aerial because he's trying to block your instant approach.
Right. Okay.
And then just be really careful, like, lasering into center, because that's not your threat. Like, your threat is not lasering into center like this. Marth isn't afraid of this. He's afraid of you aerialing to center, and you were already so far in the corner that your aerial to center from the position you lasered at would not be incredibly threatening. Like, if he's, like, look at it from the Marth's perspective. He's like, oh, okay, Falco's pretty deep in the corner, and I've got center, that's nice. I kind of only have to worry about him aerialing maybe to, like, right here, you know? And so he might kind of worry about your aerial right there, and that's why he'll kind of like dash. He's just crazy, so he dashed way further than he needed to here and gave up space. But regardless, when he comes back to center, he's covering this spot with his fair where he thought you might do it. So you approaching lasering here is like it doesn't do anything except gives him a chance. Like it gives him a chance to just get a free aerial win, pretty much.
Right. So do you think I should have maybe just done the laser, like, not forward? Like, just maybe in place after the dash dance?
No, see, but this is the key here, is you can just dash dance here.
Oh, right, because I don't need to, like, yeah.
You don't need
like,
the laser to stop him. Right here, if you just dash dance like this, and you're watching Marth really closely, and you're like, go ahead, do the nair, you know? Go ahead, nair at me. I'll wait for it and dare you. Go ahead, fair. I'll hit you out of the air. And you just kind of like dash around right here. You can a lot of times kind of sneak into this range, like right here, where he is terrified of you, without him being able to do anything.
Yeah. It's like part of
this
that
matchup
general
is
idea
really
that-
complicated. And I definitely didn't. It's like almost an hour, and I definitely have gotten through like 10% of it. But
Yeah, no, I appreciate all the breakdown though, for sure.
so okay, so here's this other spot where like when Marth is away like this, you should be like, yeah, freaking come here, Marth. You know, like get over here. And like he recognizes that. That is why this side B is here. Is like he's like, oh no, here comes Falco. Falco's flying across reality to murder me. And so he's worried about you taking center. And as he should be. And all of his movements here, these dashbacks, all of this whole thing, like the side B, the dashbacks, all of those are because he's like, here it comes, Falco's taking center, and you're like, I'm not gonna give him what he wants. He wants me to go to center, but I'm no fool. I'm gonna stay here in the corner. And it's like, no, he knows that you're coming to center, and it's like the scariest thing imaginable. So all of his actions are him like using every resource he has to try to catch your timing coming to center.
Right.
So, like, you shouldn't see this as, like, oh, man, that was scary. Like, whew, Marth put out some stuff in center, and he almost got me. Good thing I stayed in the corner. It should feel like that was literally, like, think about Kadoran. Like, he's pretty good, right? He gets pretty good results. Like, he's a good Marth. That was the peak of his ability to defend from you. Like, it was do this side B and then dash dance and wait a second. That was, like, all Marth could do there. That was the peak of Marth advancement.
Right.
And so, like, it's not like, whew, I barely dodged those. Marth is like, oh, yeah, like, that worked to keep Falco out? Like, let's go. Like... Marth doesn't feel like, oh yeah, like my extremely powerful side B. He's like, please, side B, keep Falco out. Like, he's so scary. And
Right.
so, like, the fact that you're just lasering him in place here, and he's, like, kind of not doing anything, he's just kind of waiting for you. This is a really funny spot, because the Falco, who does not know the matchup here, is like, yeah, Marth can't get me. I'm holding him at bay. And Marth is just like, thank goodness Falco is not taking center right now. Like
Right.
Marth is defending center for free because you're not trying to take it, you know? So he doesn't... It doesn't matter which moves he used. He could have forward smashed, he could have up tilted, he could have nared, he could have spot dodged, he could have freaking taunted in center. And he would have successfully defended center from you, which is his hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, that is his biggest struggle, is to stop Falco, who is like a freaking moving truck, from taking center. And you don't want to make that easy on him. You want to just be like, here I come, and you're not stopping me. And he's like, maybe this nair will work? And you're like, gotcha. Like, I knew you'd nair because you're scared. And he's like, no! And then you destroy him. That's like the feeling you should have.
Yeah, so like being willing to like dash dance close to him when he's in that kind of position and try to create the timing mix-up that he's not looking for.
Yeah,
more
and
than
you can...
like backing up and lasering.
Right, because here's the thing is, notice the range that Marth has. Think about realistically which ranges you could be during this. So, like, obviously, this is a very large space that you could be taking up right now, right? So then, but you go for this dare. This dare is horrible because he's not in, like, the unreactable range by any means. You know, you need to get in the unreactable range before dare is good, because from this distance he could literally just sit in place and punish your dare, which he does. You know, and you don't want that. But then look at this nair. So this is one of the biggest things in the matchup, and we're almost done. But I can't believe we're almost done. There's like so much to talk about. But
Yeah.
okay, so right here, when he does this nair, you can detect that this is in place nair, right? Or like, you know, nair, it's not a dash jump nair. That means that when you dash back, the furthest you get from Marth during this dash back should literally be right here. It should be like right outside his door. Like, he like closes the window and Falco is like pressing his face up against the window, like, you know, and he's like, ah! He slammed the window right on time, and Falco's right outside. He's right outside the window, and he just the glass starts cracking, and Marth is just like, ah! He's got a broomstick, and he's like smacking at Falco through the window like it's like a horror movie. Like, that's what you want, because like when Marth does this nair, imagine if he ended his nair, and you're right here. you know, and
Yeah.
he's just like, oh no, and you're just like, oh yeah, like, oh yes, like the dares, the nares, like everything is coming together, you know, like the dares will like destroy him from there. And then he does the second nair, and it's like, what if after this second nair you're right there, you know, he doesn't have a way to fight that, but instead you're like a little further away, and so he's just chilling. He's like, stay away from
Yeah.
my window. And you're like, oh, I'm coming. But you're like 10 feet away. And he's like, well, as long as Falco never gets closer than 10 feet. And like, look at this Nair, you're literally giving up more space when there's no reason to. And then you approaching laser. But the only thing the approaching laser did was put you back to where you should have been in the first place. And you risked yourself. And then he does this fair. But when he finishes this fair, you're not close enough to scare him. This Nair, look at this. These Nairs finish, you're not close enough to scare him. He fairs, you're too far away to scare him.
Yeah. You see, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense because I remember Zane was talking a while ago about how, like, the reason Mango's Falco is so much harder than every other Falco is because he's the only Falco who figured out how to space around Marth and Nair. And I never understood that until, like, you explained it just now.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're definitely at time now. And I could just freaking go for forever, so we'll do another one at some point. But this is definitely quite a bit to work on already.
For sure. Definitely like restructuring how I think about the matchup.
Yeah, and so I told you this recent restructure I did, like this really solid plan and this understanding I have of the matchup comes literally like post main stage. So you caught me at like a really good time. And I've been playing other Marths and Zane, and like with this plan, like Zane agrees my plan in the matchup is now like extremely solid, and it's mostly just like, you know, execution and situations and small things that I need to work on in it. So like if you follow this plan, you will notice it's a lot easier to beat Marth. It's a crazy feeling when you take a position of power in this matchup.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of feel at a point where you're like, Marth is kind of just hoping. Like, he's kind of just hoping that I'm not good enough right now, and if I am good enough, I'll just win. And that's a really good feeling against a character who, like, when you play against Marth with your lasers to keep Marth out, it's terrifying. It's scary all the time. It feels like, man, I got these little lasers and he's swinging a zero death blade, you know? Like,
yeah.
But once you get this game plan down better, I think it'll help a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're probably right.
All right. Well, that was a good lesson. That was fun talking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. That's a lot to work on, so.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Peace.
Peace.